What's up everyone? I am Brian. I am back with my daughter Lana, and we are here with a video that quite frankly is for me. It's actually for the culture. This is something that I didn't even know existed, a community of bag enthusiasts. I have a lot of bags that I really love, things that I take on international trips for 3 to 4 weeks at a time, same bag in different colorways, and I never made videos about them because I just didn't think that anybody cared. But today we have a bag where sneaker culture really has intersected with bag culture, because this bag is incredibly hype, if you can believe that. This is a Mystery Ranch Carryology collaboration, and this thing was a limited run. It sold out very quickly, 4 different colorways, and I got one in hand thanks to the Carryology community and a man named David who was actually willing to sell me one basically at his cost. These retailed at $375 plus shipping. I paid $400. I think I got a little bit of a discount with the taxes and everything. So huge shout out to David. Thank you very much. Here you go, Lana. Check that out. Have a look. We are going to dig into this bag, but before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about the culture, if you can indulge me. Mystery Ranch, Carryology, it all kind of links together. Back in 2012, I was in the East Coast with some friends, and I stumbled across a couple of different products that have stuck with me throughout the years. The first is Stone Island. This jacket in particular. We walked into a Nike boutique, and these jackets were $450 a piece, a price point that I had never seen at Nike. It didn't make any sense to me at the time, but this jacket caught my eye before I saw the price because it was just so cool. It was like a regular Nike windbreaker that had somehow been leveled up. The details, the touches on the finer points with how they just added little bits of flair, and you can see different types of materials in play, but the number one thing that stood out was the dye. I had never seen dye like this pop in person before, and really that's what Stone Island is known for. That planted the seed, and now I have a crazy Stone Island collection. Meanwhile, that same trip, we went to a Mystery Ranch store in Boston, and that was the first time I had ever seen a Mystery Ranch backpack, and specifically the tri-zip setup that they have intrigued me, in addition to just how well built and cool the pack was. That was a 3-day assault pack, and again, you know, this right here, signature Mystery Ranch goodness with the tri-zip. The interesting thing is, this is my first Mystery Ranch backpack. I had never purchased one before. Delicious, huh? So it's kind of a tale of different paths, right? Stone Island, loved it, ended up really starting a collection. Mystery Ranch, I just never got around to it. And so I think part of it was those packs are pretty large in general at the time. They've obviously evolved their product line quite a bit, but I just didn't have a use for that much space, and the price point at the time as well was $500–600 for a pack, which was, wow, very, very expensive. I did not discover this pack until a week ago, well after the release, and it kind of rekindled my interest in this brand and this pack because it's a Carryology collab where they tried to make this really usable for people, normal people, not just the military, to be able to carry their stuff around while giving a generous nod to, you know, signature Mystery Ranch design elements. And that's fascinating too, because this is part of the OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Design series. And the first video I ever did was actually on this Bellroy keychain, key holder. And turns out, in investigating what Carryology is and what Carryology is all about, it's a community, it's a kind of editorial outlet for cool carry stuff, but the same people who started Carryology started Bellroy. And again, this is the coolest key holder I've ever purchased, because if you've ever had keys in your pocket, they'll scratch whatever else you throw in your pocket. So you throw your keys in your own pocket and you don't put anything else like your phone in there because it might cause damage. Well, this here hides the keys behind really nice quality leather. So when they're in your pocket, they're not gonna scratch anything. And then at night, when I would get home, it would be very difficult for me to locate in the dark which key actually opened my house. This solved that problem too, because it holds the keys in order and you can basically just flip the one you know you want, unlock the door, and you're all set. So, you know, the people at Carryology, the people at Bellroy, they absolutely know what they're doing, at least if this key holder is any representation. So I was very excited to get this pack. I am unboxing this for the first time live right here. That's kind of how we do it. If you've seen this channel, we do a lot of sneaker reviews. This is kind of like that. This was a hype release. This was difficult to get. This is sold out, and a lot of the community is kind of going crazy for this. I think there were a lot of resellers involved, which was like the first real time it feels like this has happened to this community. I joined a Carryology Facebook group, which has been awesome. And initial impressions, X-Pack. I actually never really liked X-Pack material personally. I thought it was a little bit too stiff. The X pattern just is okay. But I actually prefer, for Mystery Ranch packs, the original Kadura. In hand, I really like this. It's really nice. I will say my first thought was, why didn't they do this in Dynema? And that's because my favorite pack of all time is this Dispatch Daypack done in Dynema. Turns out they did, and we'll get to that. There's someone reselling a special 1 of 30 Unicorn 2.0 pack on eBay for $7,500 done in Dynema. And really, that to me would have just been the holy grail of this pack. But you know what? It is what it is. We're gonna look at this one because this is the one we've got. This is the olive green colorway. And honestly, in person, I like this material much better than I actually thought that I would. We got the beaver tail in front. I didn't think I would like this that much either because it blocks the tri-zip zipper, but you know what? I actually think it doesn't look that bad. So maybe I'll use it, sometimes fold it up, hidden in this pocket in the bottom. In fact, let's just get it out of the way right now for that reason. But I think at the end of the day, the question here is gonna become, how functional can I make this pack? And can I actually make it functional enough to replace my go-to international travel bag? Honestly, that Dispatch Daypack has set the bar incredibly, incredibly high. So the build out of this is gonna be fun, but at the same time, I'm not sure that this pack is actually gonna get there. And I'll go over why a little bit later, but let's get this pack open. Oh, this is a known issue, I believe. A little bit of a hang up with the zip right there. People say, pull it down. Man, it's just caught. All right, got over it. Interior, there's not a lot of space in here. It's a 22-liter pack. This is actually, funny enough, a 22-liter pack as well. It's got a laptop sleeve. I really like the interior colors. The green carries over along with Carryology orange. I like all of these loops in here for hooking things, pretty nice. Oh, what's wrong, sweetheart? You want to see this one instead? All right, it's possible I am boring Lana to death. If she gets too bored, we'll have to pull her out. Initial impressions, actually not a lot of space in here because this laptop sleeve eats up a good amount of volume top to bottom, and I'll just have to see how much I can really kind of push this material. But comparatively speaking to this bag, I don't know that I'm going to get the same amount of stuff in it, even though it is the same size bag. The other big thing that I've always loved about Mystery Ranch is its harnesses. The harnesses are next level, and this one is no different. You can see we got some padding down here at the bottom. I believe this is adjustable up and down. The straps just look very comfortable. I have a feeling this is going to be an incredibly comfortable bag to wear. And that was actually one of my biggest concerns with this pack, because the straps on this actually left a lot to be desired with kind of how thin and chintzy they are. But it turns out I really enjoy carrying this bag. It's not obnoxious. The kind of straps up here to really kind of hold the handles in place help a lot, so you can actually cinch this down and see you get some lift out of it. Again, this pack is the gold standard for me that I'm trying to replace, and I'm not sure that from a usability perspective this is going to be up for it, but from a comfort perspective, I believe this is going to be a more comfortable pack. Going through the rest of this, we've got an amazing, absolutely gorgeous patch up top. Carryology is known for these patches. They're just so beautiful. I don't think I honestly care or like these enough to rock them. I mean, I'm gonna rock patches that are kind of indicative of my character and personality, but this is too nice. This is probably honestly just gonna go in a drawer for ever, indefinitely. If I keep the pack forever, it'll just sit there, and if I sell it, it'll go to the new owner. We also have a pocket up top. I like this a lot. So we got some mesh. It's see-through mesh. This pocket up top has actually really pretty good height out of this. It's maybe an inch, inch and a half tall. This is going to be great for quick access things that you need, a wallet. I don't know whether I would put important documents in here. Probably not. This isn't probably the best location to put something like a passport or something, but just a really nice quick access pocket. And then we have a leash for keys, which is always nice as well. All of the zips have heat shrink on them, which make for nice pulls, although not the best looking pulls per se. One thing I just realized, on the olive bag, the Mystery Ranch Carryology logo is actually white. It's not orange like it is on some of the other bags. And then up top, we have a giant Velcro patch, which is pretty cool. All right, as usual, I talk too much. I bored my daughter. She is playing in a playpen right in front of me. So if you hear noises, that's what that is. We've got zip pockets on the side with some nice pulls because the zippers are stiff. A lot of people are talking about using this for water bottles. Really, I don't know that I would do that personally. I think this is more just for organization of certain things. So, you know, kind of like the top pocket, if you need quick access to something, go ahead and throw it in the sides and you'll have quick access. A lot of nice internal kind of pockets and areas to stash things. Not quite sure exactly how I would use this. Not gonna try to figure that out right here on the video, but that's part of the fun of all this is, you know, taking new packs and figuring out how to modify the pack to best suit your personal needs. And this one, identical setup, it appears. And then around the back, we have a quick access to the laptop compartment. A lot of people were saying that they like this feature, but honestly, it's really hard to actually gain access to this. Like, you have to pry this bag because I think there's a hard shell plate in here for the back to make this really comfortable. And the other thing about that is this is actually really stiff. There's not a lot of give here, which I think can be good in the sense that, you know, you don't want things from the outside hurting the stuff inside, but at the same time, I feel like this is gonna be a lot of pressure in here. So, you know, if you're using like an Apple MacBook that's made of metal, it's probably gonna be okay, but my laptop in particular, it's a carbon fiber ThinkPad, and it does have some flex to it. I'm honestly a little concerned if I tried to run the laptop in here, the pressure might actually damage the screen. There's not a lot of pressure internally, so it really depends how you pack this out, but it's a bit stiffer than I would like for a laptop compartment and very difficult to access personally. So, went over the pack. If you really want to see a detailed review of all the little bells and whistles, there's a lot out there already. That's not really the primary intent of this video. We're gonna keep going. The first thing I want to show you is the comparison to the dispatch pack, and then I want to talk a bit about the super special version of this and kind of what's happened to bag culture and kind of actually a positive that I'm seeing from the carry/bag community as a result of all this. So let's compare this to this dispatch bag, and let me show you all of the things that I would need to account for in order for this Mystery Ranch pack to actually replace this. Let's start with the laptop compartment, because I love the way that it was set up on this. It's actually its own special area right at the back that has a top zip that goes around, and it's super well protected and easy to access. Much easier to access than the Mystery Ranch bag. And I throw basically all important documents, everything in here. So passports, cash if I'm traveling. I usually don't bring a laptop when I travel internationally because smartphones are so good these days, but check this out. I took this bag to SEMA recently. Oh, actually, Car Week. Car Week was the last thing, and how do I know? Because in the bag, in pristine condition, is a Pebble Beach Concours catalog. Nice and thick. I mean, that's as thick as my laptop, thicker actually, and kept perfect. I've taken this bag everywhere since then. I just never took this out. I didn't even realize it's there. It's actually pretty hefty. So, between the two, right now, laptop compartment for the dispatch bag is definitely better for my personal needs. Let's dig into the rest of this. So, again, it's really unfair because I've had years to build this pack out in the perfect way for myself. But inside we've got a Peak Designs pack. This is for all my GoPro stuff. So when I travel internationally, I've got a GoPro and a camera setup. Those are kind of the two most important things I need to take around everywhere. And in here, this is actually super cool. Peak Designs combination of stuff. I'll just assemble this real quick so you can see, because usually what happens internationally is I leave this just on the front of the pack all the time. So we got the GoPro, and then on the strap on the front, we can put the GoPro in right there, and I basically have kind of a personal point of view set up for my travels when there's something interesting that I want to see and record, but I don't want to actually carry anything. I got both hands free with this setup. Pretty amazing. This setup should transfer really well to the Mystery Ranch pack, especially with these handles. Again, I think it'll be more comfortable, and it's got the perfect mounting spot right there. So I think that should translate really nicely. The other thing I've got in here is actually a dedicated kind of camera pack. Let's see if I can show it to you like that. I could also just pull it out. And this is something where I don't know how well this would translate. I might have to find another insert because I feel like this is going to be too big to carry over. It was made by Dispatch specifically for this Daypack. I think this is going to be way too big to fit in here. Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, it's honestly not even close. So that's kind of what I was talking about, eyeballing how much space you have. Same size packs. This is squared off. This is kind of curved, and it really affects its ability to store large items simply. But in terms of what I've got here, it's actually not that much because I've basically got a camera, Sony A7, trusty A7, the first ever A7. It's served me well all these years. And I usually have a camera lens, but it's not in here, so I gotta actually track that down. I don't know where it is. Overall, aside from random incidentals like cables and power packs, some chargers as well, there's not a lot that I carry in here. Sometimes I throw a hat, a random hat in as well. I never found much utility out of this front pocket. Usually it's just Sharpies and keys. So that's one area of this bag that just didn't really give me much utility. I gotta find, I think, a smaller insert that's gonna be able to hold this camera and a lens well. If I can do that, then I think this bag has a real shot at becoming my go-to bag. And sometimes it's just about aesthetics because this bag is beautiful. I mean, it just looks good. And honestly, that's important to me. You know, going around and having a pack where people go, oh, that's cool. Why not? I got a bunch of shoes that are the same way. I got a bunch of jackets that are the same way. If I enjoy it, I don't feel bad about it. Let's get into the last element of this, which is kind of the different colorway options and Dynema and this crazy special pack. So when it comes to colorways, different colorways to me are different products. They evoke different emotions, and I don't feel bad about purchasing the exact same product in different colorways. You can see here, I have another Dynema Dispatch pack in white. And in fact, it's great because this is my vlogging YouTube camera with my gimbal. And obviously the camera's not here because it's filming me right now. But this makes it really easy in a pinch to know when I'm grabbing and going what I want to take. Sometimes I need to take both. Sometimes I only need to take one. I know which setup to grab just based on the color of the bag. And when it comes to the Unicorn 2.0, there's a couple colorways that I absolutely love. There's this one in the olive green. I think it's so elegant and simple, classy. And then there's my go-to sort of icy hot colorway in the Multicam and Coyote setup. That's the one, if I could only have one, that's the one I would have. And so I actually went and bought that one too on eBay yesterday. Unfortunately, I did pay scalper prices. And this is where the community that I've found, the Carryology community, is actually really refreshing. Because kind of like OG sneakerheads, there's like a culture there where if you're part of the community, they don't really like or allow scalping. And in fact, I kind of browsed it a bit too late, but if I had found this community, I would have been able to get the Multicam Coyote pack really at retail because a lot of people are just willing to share what they've got if they don't like it with others and give them kind of the same sweetheart deal that they got. And really, you know, that's not a requirement of sorts, but it's just refreshing. It's really nice to see a bunch of enthusiasts that are excited about packs, that are really about sharing with the community, and that aren't just about scalping for absolute top dollar. But now we're gonna talk about the super special Dynema pack. I think it's called the XDR, and again, my first thought when I saw this pack is, dang, if they would have made that in Dynema, it would have been perfect. But the price point, the original price point, honestly, is a bit shocking when you first hear it. I think it was a $1,200 pack at MSRP. They only made 30. They made it mostly out of Dynema, but the actual top flap, I believe, was X-Pack. And this is where it gets kind of silly, because when I first bought this pack, which is Dynema, in fact, you'll notice it has a very similar look and feel material-wise to the XDR version of the Unicorn 2.0. This was I think a $400 pack. This is a special collab between Dispatch and Descente. I think it's a Japanese brand, I'm not 100% sure. But I've always loved how durable this material is. It's so functional. When I first saw it, I thought it kind of looked like a garbage bag, especially in clear. I think I've got a clear sling here from Dispatch as well. I mean, look at this. So this is Dynema, and if you look at that, it honestly kind of looks like a wrinkled up plastic bag. In black, I think it looks a lot better, but you know, this isn't necessarily a beautiful bag. It's just an incredibly functional bag, and over time, I've appreciated its beauty as a result. So, love the material from actual use. Would have loved to see it on this bag, but at $1,200, it's borderline prohibitively expensive. It came with an incredibly cool laser-etched titanium patch. I actually don't even care about that patch. I mean, it's awesome, it's neat, it would sit in a drawer. So if I could somehow source the bag without the patch at a reasonable price so I could use it, I would absolutely do that. The crazy thing is, on eBay right now, I believe there is an XDR version of this bag and the seller is asking $7,500. And in the community, a lot of people are like, that's crazy, nobody's actually gonna pay that. But then one came up for sale internally for $2,500 yesterday, and it sold instantly. I've heard these bags are trading between, you know, $2,000 and $5,000. And now we're well into sneaker culture FOMO. I never thought I would have seen that from the bag community. I think for those that are really thinking about paying this price point, you should just take a step back and think about it. You know, if you really want it as a collector's item, that's great. No problem with that. I totally understand that. If you're somehow FOMOing because you really want one of these for use, I just think that that price point for a use is kind of out there. I mean, you've got other really nice options at much lower price points. I personally think the colorways on the Olive and the Coyote Multicam are actually nicer colorways to look at visually than the Dynema pack. And I don't know what, you know, we're all doing that would warrant the upgrade from X-Pack to Dynema. I mean, I love it. If it's an option that's easily available, I'll take it. But I don't think I'm gonna have any problem with this material either. So I'm going to enjoy getting the Coyote Brown Multicam pack, comparing the two, building them out, and I'll keep an eye out for an XDR version at a reasonable price just in case. But in the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy what I've got. And I'm not sure if I said XDR or XDT. It's XDT is the fancy version of this pack. One thing about it that I did notice, which, you know, not sure how big of a deal it is, it's kind of a personal thing. This pack is made in Vietnam. I know a lot of Mystery Ranch packs are actually made in the USA. I think part of that might have to do with the fact that they contract with the defense industry, and I think that's probably an industry requirement. The XDT version of this pack is made in the USA, so it makes sense that it would drive a higher price point, plus you get the titanium patch. $1,200 is a bit of sticker shock at MSRP. I think I personally probably would have come around to that if I would have had an opportunity to get one, but some of these resale prices, I mean $5,000 for that bag, I just don't need it at that price point. So personal thing, not gonna hate on those that are interested, that wanna keep them. For me, a bag is about utility, even though there are plenty of other things that I only break out on a blue moon, like this jacket. The bag really would be about taking it everywhere and anywhere that I would find use for it, and so I just can't justify that with a $5,000 price point. But I am gonna love getting this one out and about. Man, this was a long video. I don't know how long, but thank you if you're watching for indulging my OCD. Thank you to the community for showing that there is a place that I belong. I know there are people out there that are just as enthused about this stuff as I am, and really, I think this is about kind of taking your own personal space with you when you go to new places. So again, I'll go on international trips for 3 to 4 weeks, and to have a bag set up exactly the way that I want, where everything that I need is where I know, safe and sound, easy to get to and use, very functional. It's like taking your home with you. And so it's all a mental thing. We're kind of crazy. There's patches that I've seen that say Weirdo Backpack Cult, and really that's what this is. So if you're watching this video, this is my first kind of video like this. Again, my YouTube channel is just about anything and everything that I like that's personally enjoyable to me. So I usually don't do this. You'll notice I never ask for subscribers directly on the video, but if you're watching this, please leave a comment if you like this video. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, because I'd certainly love to talk about it. That's all I've got. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you at the next one soon.